Hello? Okay. Right, hello everyone. Sorry, whilst I sort my papers out, I'll introduce myself quickly. My name's Damien Gabet. I am the editor of Venues and Events magazine. That means we publish spring, summer, autumn. We do an annual guide, hopefully you know about, and Christmas parties, and we do a wedding as well. I think I'm the only male editor of a weddings magazine in the world. Right, as I'm sure you know, we're going to talk about team building. I'm going to hand over to the guys to introduce themselves and what they do. Our team specifically have, we've actually tried out all of the guys' respective offerings. So what I'll do after that is give a little bit of an explanation of how we got on, which I can say already it was all a lot of fun. And then we'll go into a little bit of a chit-chat about why it is that team building is important. We'll also talk about the trends in the next sort of, or that these guys have noticed over the sort of last 12, and the next 12 months, and also hopefully instill a little bit of confidence in you that spending money on team building is a worthwhile endeavour and something that you can justify to those holding the purse strings. Anyway, so I shall take it from the left. Ollie.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Ollie Cooper from Jericho Extraordinary Experiences. Thanks for having me. At Jericho, we create exciting and immersive experiences for both the high-level internal team building market as well as for the client-side team building. We've partnered with top talent such as former world champion boxer, TV presenters, TV producers, kung fu masters, even battlefield guides, to take people on a journey of discovery where you try a little bit of everything and get a real insight into the lives of these elite professionals and the world that they operate in. So how we do that is basically through a tightly packed schedule of activities, of tasks, whether that's solo, partnered, or as groups, and discussions and talks interspersed where you build up to a sort of crescendo to a challenge or a finale of some sort where you really see how far you come, what you've done. Really, the main thing for us, what we're all about is twofold. It's creating a shared experience with real wow factor, and through that developing and strengthening relationships, whether it's internal or whether it's with your client team.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Jonni. I'm the founder and managing director of Wild Goose. We formed the business 13 years ago, and we deliver technology-driven team building events all over the world, from offices in London, Hertfordshire, Edinburgh and New York. We've got a team of 35 professionals, and last year we delivered 1,500 events. I started the business up as a simple paper-based treasure hunt business, but we've evolved using technology into a full employee engagement team building company where we use technology to build team building events with real purpose and drive to engage groups of people anywhere in the world.
Lovely.
Hi there, my name is Jules Whitehorn. I'm the co-founder of Stay on Target Limited. We started about 2.5 years ago doing bubble football events and then expanded to doing combat archery, which is a bit like dodgeball with arrows. And most recently we started a product called Whistlepunk's Urban Axe Throwing, which is axe throwing in the city. It's a bit less cerebral than these other guys, but we find we get a lot of groups in, and it really, whether it's they're just there for a social night or for a work night, there's a lot of stress relief involved, and people are really bonding as a team by the end of it. Yeah. Thank you.
So I will quickly explain my experience with these guys, just to sort of paint a little bit of an unbiased picture of what it was like, and at the same time you can probably sort of correspond the photos. So I'll start at the back. I'll start all the way over there with Jules at Whistlepunk. So relatively new activity that's available, a lot of press surrounding it, and this came to us via a friend of mine who said, you've got to go and try this out. So off we went to Whitehall. I mean, you know, sort of what it says on the tin, really. You are throwing, is it hatchets? Is that the?
Yes, yeah,
right,
small hatchets.
At a target that is not too far away. Now, from our point of view, you know, unisex team. So you think the initial thought with this sort of thing is it's kind of masculine sort of interest, let's say. But let me tell you, there's 3 girls, 3 boys on the team, and all of the girls were better than all of the boys. It's about technique, it's about, I don't know, panache to some degree. It's not about wanging it as hard as you can, and it is strangely addictive to the point where you'll see in a minute, turning into a little bit of a crazed maniac, sort of feeding my Patrick Bateman urges. So anyway, so that was a lot of fun. Moving along to Jonni at Wild Goose. This is something that I wasn't present for, but the team went down to Chelsea Football Club. So what Wild Goose can do is set up pretty much, am I right in saying anywhere? The good thing obviously about Chelsea is there's lots of different sort of scenarios. Now the way that they build themselves, again correct me if I'm wrong, is a treasure hunt with a difference. That means using technology, GPS with an iPad to go around doing various fun, sometimes sort of out of your comfort zone style tasks. So the guys started off doing, they started off with a nice lunch, looking over the pitch, obviously, you know, a little bit of drama there, which is quite nice, and then it kicks off. 2 teams run around like maniacs, doing various different tasks. There was singing, apparently E17 was sung on the stage under the bridge, which is a venue underneath the stadium. There was dancing around. The pictures, you might see them, look great, and I'm just quite sad I missed it. So yeah, that's a little bit of a flavour of what you get there. With Jericho, this is the most recent one we've done, and I couldn't resist really. It was the opportunity to spend a day with 2 kung fu masters who are, these guys are the real deal. Lethal, but also very charming. Fortunately, and very friendly, yeah, and very sort of calm, which I wasn't expecting, but lovely. Ahead of time, you get a sash in the post, so there's that sense of sort of theatre a little bit. You know, you kind of invested, a little bit immersive. You get there, you get your own. What are they called? Not overalls.
Comfrey suits.
Sorry.
Comfrey suits.
Suits, and your own shoes, which, by the way, I still wear all of them. Yeah, I actually do, yeah. I took them on holiday. Anyway, so you're all kitted out, and you look the part, you feel the part, and you realise that actually you've got no idea what you're doing, but the day is split, it's over a whole day, it's lunch in the middle. It was at Lumiere London, which is Bankside. Blank canvas space, opportunity to do various little bits of Kung Fu, I guess, both on a sort of self-defense side, which you would sort of immediately associate with that discipline, but also the sort of chi energy movements and sort of inner calm style stuff. And I have to say it was a real experience, and you know, I've spoken about it a lot since. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to ask some questions. As I say, this is mainly about instilling the idea with you guys that team building is a worthwhile endeavour. In an area where ROI is difficult to sort of calculate, you know, why do we do team building? So, to Ollie, I'll start off. Why do we book team building at all? What can a company hope to get out of it, and what makes it special? Very broad.
Well, I mean, both from an internal perspective, whether you're trying to motivate or inspire internal staff, whether you've got relationships to build between management teams and their staff, or if you're working with clients, if there's a new account team with a new client and you've got a long road ahead, or if there's so many different opportunities where it's important to really build those relationships and deepen those relationships with your clients, with your management teams, and so there's a huge amount of value on that front, even though it's quite difficult to actually put a financial value against that, I suppose.
Guys, anything to add there?
I was going to say, we all have teams of people that we need to inspire and motivate, and it's really important, especially during good and bad times, that you need to motivate your teams to get the best out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you have a a team that is spread all over the world, or they work in different departments. Ultimately, the success of our businesses rests on good people, people who are motivated and work hard. And we find that team building is a great way to inspire teams and get people to work together, build relationships that build a sort of bond of trust between employees.
I think that's absolutely right. The chance to kind of work as a team or have a shared experience outside of the office, shake up the relationships a bit between people, because I think quite often if you're in the office, your roles and your contacts with people tend to get in a bit of a rut. You know, you have the same contacts every day and the same relationships. So I think it's a chance to really kind of see people in the teams in a different light, and I think also as an incentive, as a social incentive, every now and again, just as Ollie was saying, just to keep people motivated and have something to break up the work every few months. I think is absolutely essential.
And I mean, I've built and run account teams, and fundamentally, if people get on better and know each other better, they work together better. If they like each other better, they work together better. And equally working with clients, I mean, if quite often capability, there's so little in it between one agency and another, or one supplier and another, that there's a real need for there to be a relationship where you like each other and work together in a way that you really enjoy. And we find that this helps strengthen that.
Great. Similar sort of skew, but in the context of Brexit. Obviously, there's a little bit of uncertainty about the place now. I wonder whether this has affected any of you guys, and whether actually something like team building would be, that would be considered from above to be, surplus. I guess what I want to find out is justification here. How can team building still be, in that instance, a justifiable expense, or in fact, is it more relevant now than ever?
I mean, a big part of what we do at Wild Goose is about focusing on purpose. So it's not just about having fun for the sake of having fun. We try and combine a fun activity with something that has real purpose. So I'll give you an example of that. We do quite a lot of work in the retail sector, and especially at the moment, and we've just done this ourselves in terms of competitor analysis. A lot of retailers are constantly doing mystery shopper competitor analysis, and we've actually turned this into a game, into a team building game. So actually you get into teams, we place hotspots, GPS hotspots, say, around the retail area. Teams have to go out there, unlock those hotspots, and it presents some challenges, and that might be going into a competitor store to assess how they sell something, to take a photo of point of sale, sort of a little bit covert, and interview members of the public to capture their feedback, and they get points for doing it. So you've gamified what is fundamentally, I don't know if anyone's ever done mystery shopping or competitor analysis, it's fundamentally quite a dull thing to do. But it's an essential part of a business, and what we've done is combine that with a team activity so that you actually have something that's really purposeful. We do that across a number of different sectors. We do work in the insurance sector as well throughout. So lots of different ways of combining purpose with fun.
Great. I find that particularly interesting, so I will come back to that in a minute. But on this note, Jules, we in the past, to some degree, have spoken about how to justify ROI. Can you talk to me about social media and how that can be used as a gauge, as a sort of justification?
I think social media can definitely be used as a gauge for the success of the event as a whole, on the level of the employee, because if you're providing experiences that your employees actually want to share with their friends and their work colleagues, I think you can call that as an actual kind of gauge of how successful it was on a personal level, and I think that's really really key to it. But also, sometimes these things stretch further than that, in terms of kind of warm feelings towards your brand, and showing the wider world that you're a corporation that people are going to want to work with and for, and spreading your corporate culture. I think it's a good tool for that. Absolutely.
Okay. On the subject of sort of put this right. Ensuring that you are marrying the right sort of person with the right sort of event, and then garnering that interest and it being visible via social media, for example, that's an important thing to do. Ollie, team building options in London are, there are many of them now. What advice do you have to these guys to make sure that their group, be it a set of clients or colleagues, lots, small, whatever, marries with the right sort of team building event?
Well, the approach that we've taken is we're at Jericho. We've tried to create a portfolio, or will ongoing. We'll try to create a portfolio which covers a bit of something for everybody, whether you're in for something a bit more physical and getting into a working boxing gym to experience a little bit of what they can really go through. If you're more inclined, if you're more interested in how to look good on TV, or how to handle tough interview questions with a former presenter like Michael Wilson, or have some fun learning how to present the weather with Channel 5's Sean Welby or someone like that. Whether you're looking for something that's a little bit physical, but then you're also looking more at the for the kung fu, whether you're the overcoming inhibitions and fears and emotions kind of thing. So we're trying to create a bit of everything, and our recommendation really would be to, you've got to talk to us, and we can, depending on what the audience is, depending on the personalities you've got in the group, depending on the likes and dislikes, depending on the business objectives and any key messaging there might be, with companies such as ours, it's kind of, you can be flexible and work it to a company's specific needs.
So the importance of tailoring is palpable.
Massively.
Jonni, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's always really hard to find something that everyone's going to enjoy, because, even within our team of staff, we've got a variety of different people who've got different interests, and it's really difficult. I mean, I think our activity is probably quite a safe option from that point of view, because we do have people doing our activity who are, got their leg in the plaster or pregnant or whatever it might be, and actually it's an activity that's pretty safe. It's pretty, from that point of view. But also we have it on our own team, because we have to try and we do team building as a company as well, and we don't use Wild Goose, so we do go and do other stuff.
Right.
We're very competitive, so as a company we love a bit of competition, so we try and err towards things which are a little bit more competitive. Having said that, we've just launched a product called Tribal Instincts, which is a very collaborative game, where actually teams start off thinking they're competing with one another, and then they have this penny drop moment where they actually have to exchange information via their iPads to actually get to a common goal. So it could be collaborative, it could be competitive, it could just be something that's pure fun, but knowing your team is always a good start.
When we sort of curate and decide which sort of team building activities we're going to write about for each magazine, there are usually 3 per issue. It's always important from our perspective that we take into consideration that it is inclusive. Now, inclusivity and competition sound like they're slightly at odds with one another, so it's about finding something compelling that is competitive but everyone can do. To some degree, with Jules at Whistle Punch, you'd think that wasn't quite right for everyone, but actually it seems so. On the question, Jules, on the subject of competition, you've mentioned in the past competitive socialising as a trend, by which we mean instead of going to the pub afterwards, having a couple of hours out where you're still having a good time, but there is a competitive element to it, and that being classed as team building. Could you sort of just expound on that a little?
Yeah, it's actually the point about matching people to teams to actually activities as well. I think there's definitely some mileage in doing smaller events more often, because if you can have a number of different activities spaced throughout the year that are lower in cost and both in terms of money and time, then the chances are that you can have a bit of something for it. Someone might not be that into one activity, but they'll find one of the couple of the other ones. So I think people are more used to now, kind of every day in the city life, competitive socialising is, as you say, a bigger trend. So in the social life, people tend to be looking out for these activities. It's not just a night out in a bar. You've actually got an activity, and it's something to kind of pin the social activity off. And it's a really good icebreaker, having something in the middle. It's not just everyone has to be drinking the whole time just to loosen everyone up. So I think by tapping into that on the corporate side, you can be providing activities that your staff might want to go and do in their social life anyway, but providing it for them from work, so it becomes less of a kind of straight experience in the very kind of sterile corporate way,
Right.
and more and it feels like something, again, they might be more inclined to broadcast on social media and things like that, because it's something that they were potentially intending to do anyway.
At which point, the justification for having done it in the first place seems like an easier task to those who have said yes, go for it in terms of budget, which is sort of all rolling into, you know, it being a worthwhile.
Yeah, we found a lot of teams who've come along seem to be looking for something that's outside of the norm. So obviously, axe throwing is very different to most people, quite far away from what other people have tried before, and they're trying to be kind of first in with that as something really unusual for their team.
Mm-hmm. Just on that subject about lightweight team building experiences. I mean, this is how you described it to me in the past. Over big away days, say in the countryside, it's a white power style. It is just making sure that you are looking at your audience. 900 people, you can't go axe throwing, it's work. But per department, perhaps doing something that you could, but it's a bit dangerous. Then it could be more feasible. Jonni, just moving along a little bit. Something that we've spoken about, the role of learning and development. So not just going out and having fun, but actually getting something worthwhile that can then be translated into an improved process at work, for example. What role does L&D have in turning team building from just a fun event to something with a bit more purpose in your eyes?
Yeah, it kind of links to the point I made before about purpose, and increasingly what we're finding is clients coming to us who they do have budget if it has a learning and development focus, but if it's purely fun, they don't have a budget.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a priority there, because ultimately we're all in the business of developing our teams, whether it's post-Brexit or what, we want to be competitive and we want to have the edge over our competition. So an L&D focus, allowing to skill your teams up combined with a bit of fun, is a great way of developing that. And we've just developed and launched, in fact we're running our first one today actually at the Ricoh Arena in Coventry, but it's about developing a learning development focus. We're launching a suite of products. We've got the collaborative game I've talked about. The next one we've got is a time management course, which will be combining location-based games with L&D and a bit of a purpose, a bit of feedback around sort of dramatics, which is called dramatic timings, it's going to be called.
Right.
But it is, because also the other thing as well with our technology, it feeds through to a statistics suite, so all of the data is captured through the app into an instantly usable format, so that you can have some sort of follow-up at the end, so you can capture how people have done, what they've been listening to, have they been listening to the questions about certain topics or certain products, and that might identify learning needs going forward. So if you have a conference that, for example, talks about a new product, you then can specify certain questions within the event that are about those products, and if you can see that only 30% of teams have got that right first time, then you perhaps haven't got the message across. That's quite useful to know, especially if you've got a sales team that's about to hit the field and start selling the product. So tying something in like that, which has got a report, an online report that's instantly available afterwards, adds a lot of value.
Yeah.
And a justifiable means to look at repeating the exercise, but making it fun and rewarding.
And you've noticed that prospective clients have used that data. They've actually sort of aggregated it, processed it, and used it in the future, rather than just saying, look, we've got this data.
No, absolutely. Well, what we've done, in fact, going back to the retail, we did one for Nike where they did a load of a customer-focused game on the high street, and then literally got back, had a cup of tea, and then it was right, get the report up, because it's instantly collated. And it's like, right, let's have a look at what we've gathered, what's the information, what do we find, how did Adidas store look compared to ours, what about Lego, what about this, what about that. So they weren't just looking at competitors, they were looking at other people who did retail well. And it's tying that all back in and using it as a conversational piece afterwards, which is massively valuable, and they've got that to keep, so it's not...
I mean, it sounds like a rebranding from team building to employee development.
It's employee engagement, it's looking beyond purely that fun for the hell of it sort of thing. It is about saying, well, because people learn when they're having fun, we all know that. I mean, we learn through doing, we learn through fun activities, and actually if you can combine learning with fun and doing something, then that becomes something that's much more memorable. It lasts in the memory, it actually encourages that sort of behaviour that you need, and that's when you get your payback. So.
Right, gotcha. Last question for Ollie. I was wondering, I thought it might be useful if you guys hear of an example where, we'll move along, but where Ollie specifically, to begin with, has had to convince one of you guys that actually spending X is worth it because, and how you've sort of, how you've managed to do that, and in the end, proven that it's been a success.
Big question.
Yeah.
Well, as I think anybody will find if they're, as a business, trying to do something new and different, the challenge is at the front end, and it's convincing people to move away from the tried and tested to something new and fresh and different, where there's always a perceived risk associated to it. It's like, well, if I spend all this money, I take my clients, what if it's crap? I don't want to lose my job over that, whatever. Whereas, if we go and do a track day or a golf day or something else, it's kind of tried and tested, and you know you're going to get a certain level of something. So front end, what we've tried to do is, we've created a lot of video content, which we've got on our site to try and show people what the experiences are and try and prove really that it is as good as we say it is. Beyond that, we've also kind of run launch events, test events where we've invited people along to hopefully to become ambassadors for us and tell people how it was. But fundamentally, once we've got them through the door, the feedback has actually been pretty good. It's been anything from surprisingly fresh and different, or it's taken the relationship with their clients to a new level that they're really pleased with, that kind of thing. So, we've really only been operational for about a year, so but fingers crossed that there won't be any bad feedback coming.
Right.
But the challenge is the front end, and it's fair enough. But once something becomes a bit more mainstream, then it becomes easier to convince people. But,
of course.
So it's trying to convince those early adopters to get on board and do something fun and new and fresh.
Hence why it's good to get some good media coverage as per the chapter.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's interesting because we kind of come at this from the other end, whereas we've been kind of to the consumer first, and it's only now that we're really starting to try to capture more of the corporate market. We've had them coming to us, but our venue has been a bit rough and ready as we started up, and we found that as long as we were absolutely, as you say, like the certainty, people want to know that they want to know what they're booking and that it's not going to be a big flop or something unexpected. So we were very open and honest about exactly what we were offering and exactly what the place was like, and if anyone had any doubts, we're like, come down, take a look before you book your event, so you know exactly what you're booking.
Close to the city, so
relatively exactly. So people come down and check us out, but we found that as long as we've been completely straight and straight shooting with everyone and not trying to kind of embellish or kind of polish it too much, then everyone's been entirely happy when they've come and tried the experience. So it's definitely trying to kind of make sure people know what they're getting and calm their fears is absolutely the number one thing for this.
Well, just read our article. Jonni.
We do a lot of case studies. We capture feedback through every single event we run. So all of the participants get to capture how they feel about the event. So we know that 92% of people who've done our activity have been blown away, or we've exceeded their expectations, which is a nice bit of comfort. I guess we're probably an opposite end of the scale to these guys in that what we do, I guess, to a lot of people is something that's been around for a while. So actually one of the things we find is how to convince people why we're different and why what we do is a little bit different to, say, something that they've perhaps done before. Whereas what these guys do, I think they do something that's perhaps something that people haven't done before. They're able to do a slight bit of convincing that they're not going to get hit by an axe or something like that. So I think, aside from the fact that we're all safe activities, I think it's more about we have different challenges, but if you can capture good feedback, demonstrate good value, demonstrate you do a good job, get referrals, then same as every business, you can do a referral.
Thank you very much, guys. With that, I will say, do keep an eye out in the seasonal magazines for our suggestions for team building, all first hand. And if you want to have a chat with the guys afterwards, I'm sure they'll be ready to answer questions and hand out the cards. Let's check, what time are we? 5:02? 5. Oh, on the spot. Okay. Maybe any questions, or would you rather do it once more? Any questions at all? Maybe after. Okay. Well, let's wrap it up there then. In that case, thank you very much, guys. Cheers.